Hello, hello, hello. Thanks so much for coming by. My name is Kathleen Sinnott, and I am here solo again tonight. Unfortunately, Mayor can't join us, but no worries. We will muddle through this together. Just give me 1 second here. So to make sure I've got the feed going everywhere. And it looks like I do. Awesome. All right, let's get the Periscope comments up. And we will be ready to go. So tonight we're going to talk about, well, this whole month we're going to talk about finding a job, finding a new job. You know, it's the beginning of a new year. A lot of people are thinking about making a change or need to make a change because of reasons beyond their control. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the different aspects of that. Tonight, we're going to focus on the job search, taking a look around the different ways that you can find the different jobs, which will help you figure out what it is that you want to do when you grow up. Okay. Let me see if I can't get the comments up. We'll just roll the dice here and see if we can get Periscope to play nice. Hopefully, let me make sure my sound's up. So I am having a bit of an allergy problem, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to sound a little funny tonight. But this too shall pass. You know, this is all part of the challenge of life, right? No matter how you're feeling, you still got to show up and go to work. Okay? All right, I think we are doing good here. Excellent. So one more sec. I'll get my notes up. Okay. All right. So, is everybody ready? I am going to try to remember to mute the mic while I take a hit of water. Okay. Hopefully I will remember to do that. Usually, I used to have my mic right in front of me, and I could just hit a button, but it was also picking up all the sounds from my desk, so I have moved the mic up. But now I can't reach the button, so I have to do it off of the software. But that's okay, right? Change is good. Keeps the brain fresh. Okay, I think we're ready. Is everybody set? Yes? Okay. Hi, my name is Kathleen Sinnott. Welcome to the BA Zone. This month we're going to be talking about the job search. Whether you're looking for your first job as a BA or maybe you're looking to make a change, we're going to cover all the different aspects of that process. So tonight we're going to start with the different ways to look for a job. Now, way back in the olden days, you used to have to go and get the paper and go through the job ads and print out or type your resume with your cover letter and put it in an envelope and mail it out. It was a slow, laborious process, but that's all we had. Now, of course, we have the other problem. We have a multitude of quick and easy ways to be able to submit your resume. The question is, what's the best? What do you need to look out for? All those kinds of good things. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about things like your resume, how to figure out whether or not you've got the skills and the aptitude to become a BA. Just to jump ahead a little bit, a lot of people unfortunately end up in careers because somebody told them that they would be good at it, or it's a good way to make money, or it'll be easy to find a job because there's not enough people to fill the jobs. These are not great reasons to take a job. Now, look, we all have bills to pay, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But you spend a lot of time at work, so you really ought to try to find something that's a good match for your skills and your personality. So we will go into that in much more detail later on. But we're going to do this first, and the reason for that is a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm going to become whatever job title. In our case, BAs, business analyst. But they don't always know what that means. And the other side of the coin there is a lot of employers who say that they're looking for BAs. When you read the job description, you see that that's not what they're looking for. Sometimes they're looking for a product manager. Sometimes they're looking for developer. I mean, you can see just about anything. So you need to kind of stay open, and you need to be able to, look at these different job titles and the skills and figure out, what's the best match for you, and to not get too tied up into any particular title. You need to be a little loose about it because they're going to be loose about it, and you want to find something that's a good match for you. So let's get started. Let me just do one quick check here. Yes, I wanted to make sure. Okay, good. The comments did come up. Excellent. I love it when a plan comes about. Oh, hi, Amy. Happy New Year. How you doing? Oh, you don't want to listen to me take a swig as many times as I'm going to tonight. I am really in danger of losing my voice today. And the thing is, I'm not even sick. It's the allergies. It's the, heat on in all the buildings. I'm lucky I made it to January. Sometimes it starts in November. So I made it to January. I only have a few months now that I have to suffer through, but this can last a few months. And there have been times that I've lost my voice for a couple of weeks. So hopefully if that happens, Mary will be back by then. Alrighty, so let's talk. Okay, let me start by showing you some stuff. So I would imagine that at this point you're probably aware that you're not really going to a newspaper anymore to look for the job. You're not circling things in the local paper. You're not getting the Sunday paper to get the big list of jobs. You're going online, or you're going to something like LinkedIn. These are this is just how it is. Now we'll get to LinkedIn in a minute, but the basics. Let me bring this up. Of course, on top of everything else, I've also decided that I had to play with my environment, and so not everything is wired the way it needs to be right now. So I'm sure you've seen the advertising for, really, I turned all this off, for the aggregate services. So that's the things like Indeed. Even LinkedIn is an aggregate service, really. If you go to things like Monster, what are the other ones? Career Builder. There's some big ones out there. And basically what you do is you put in wherever it is that you're looking for the job, whether it's close to you or not, and maybe you're going to look for, business analyst, and you do your search, and boom, you get all the results. And then over here, you can narrow it down. Are you sort of new and you're looking for something around the 60K region, or maybe you've got some time under your belt, you're looking for something around the 105. You can look for full-time or contract. So again, we're going to get into this in more detail, but just as you're going through this process, don't be afraid of either the full-time label or the contract label. Don't get too wrapped up in that, because basically the only difference between those are who's paying the taxes and who's paying the healthcare. So as long as you go into it understanding what it is and how to adjust your price, there's no such thing as job security anymore. Nobody is going to a job anymore and spending 50 years there and getting their gold watch and a retirement and a pension. Those days are gone. Not such great news, but it's the truth. So, don't limit yourself. Look at all the different combinations out here and see. And if you're open to relocation, keep open to different areas. Some people are into that and they're looking for a bigger change. So this is your basic search, and you're going to get these results back. And at first glance, it's going to be a little hard until you start doing it for a while to tell, is this the employer placing the ad? Is this an agency? So on and so forth. Now, again, we will get into this in a little bit more detail, but agencies are like anything else on the planet. There are really good ones. There are really bad ones. And as you start to look at these, you'll start to recognize names, and after you work with some of them, you'll know which ones are good and which ones are bad. Avoid the bad ones once you figure that out. And I wish I could tell you what they are, but there's so many of them that they so outnumber us. So you'll start to look through and you'll start to see, like this one is probably an agency. I just saw one up here, General Electric. The odds are pretty good that that's the employer doing the look. And then you can click through. You'll see the little details on it. You can get some general information on the location and how other people might have rated them. Like any other rating system, you kind of have to weight that. Most people don't most people don't bother to rate something unless they're unhappy. It's just human nature. We're more prone to give our feedback when we're unhappy than when we're happy. So just keep that in mind when you look at it. It's just like with Amazon, when you're reading the reviews, you don't just go with one. You kind of look at the overall, is it more positive or more negative? That's the better way to do that. So you can go through and do all these kinds of things. Now, if you're getting overwhelmed, so look at this. I mean, this is, 3,000 plus jobs. If this is overwhelming to you, there's always an advanced search if you go and search for it. And then you can, just like with Google, you can include words or phrases, you can exclude them, you can narrow it down, you can show the different job types, you can show it, only jobs within a certain distance. This is a little fuzzy, but it's always worth a shot. That's basically, so this will help you, narrow it down if it gets to be too much for you. Now, of course, they're not the only games in town. Like I said, there's also LinkedIn. So basically, if you're looking for a job, you need to be on LinkedIn, regardless of how you feel about them, whether you like them or you don't. I personally don't particularly like LinkedIn. I've got problems with their whole business model. And, oh good, thanks Amy, yeah. My voice is killing me. I'm glad it sounds okay. The LinkedIn thing, you have to, friend people, and what does that really mean, and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But the reality is your resume in some form needs to be out on LinkedIn, because that's where all the headhunters are looking. That's where they're going to start their search. Some headhunters start and end the search there. So you do need to put it there. Now, whether you put your entire resume there or just some highlights, that's up to you, and your skill set and your experience level will play into that a lot. But don't you can't at this point, you can't avoid LinkedIn, but you also don't have to give them everything if you don't want to. I will warn you that if you create a new profile on LinkedIn, or even if you update your LinkedIn profile, you will get inundated with phone calls from people who don't necessarily have jobs or bother to actually read your posting. You've got to suck it up. You've got to be polite. You've got to have those conversations, because you never know which phone call or email is going to be the one that leads you to your dream job. So the safest approach is to just handle all of them, be polite, be concise. If you feel like they're wasting your time, get them off the phone quickly, but do it in a nice way. Okay, so that is pretty much Indeed. Okay, so with any of these aggregate services, now right now, I'm not signed in, I don't have an account set up, but you can create an account, and that way you can save your searches. You can also set yourself up so that you can have it email you when new job postings come in. So, these are all things that you can do to automate your job search. Now, the one thing I will point out here is that when you're using an aggregate service like Indeed or Career Builder or Monster, any of those, how do I say this? There's going to be a lag, okay? Because they're pulling in, they've got, little bots that are going out and looking for jobs and pulling the information. So there's a lag between when the job gets posted and when it might show up for you. And if you're in a market that is hot, those job opportunities may be gone by the time they hit the aggregate. If you think about the logic of, okay, so somebody posts the ad, the bot has to go and find it, it's got to pull it in, it's got to put it into the service then has to go and find all of the people who are looking for those kind of jobs and send the emails. All of those pieces are time lags. So if, like I said, if you're in a situation where the jobs are turning over quickly near you, that may work against you. So in that case, you may want to go a little bit more direct. Now, that said, people can also submit their jobs just to Indeed. So again, it's not that you want to necessarily exclude them, but you do want to keep in mind that when you're looking at it, first of all, you've got to look to make sure that, you've got to learn to filter out all the ones that you've already seen. So like if you're working in Indeed and you're on LinkedIn and you're on Monster and you're on Career Builder, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the reality is that you're going to see a lot of duplications. And so you have to get very good at filtering this out. Now, it just so happens that for those of us who are BAs, that's kind of our sweet spot, because that's pattern recognition and that's, processing large piles of data. That's what we do. So for us, it's not so bad. When I work with some other people in my real life who are looking for jobs, that can get a little overwhelming for them. So I tend to try to narrow down their options. But for us, since we're used to dealing with a fire hose of information, it's okay for us to go ahead and deal with these things. But just, keep in mind that, this one here for Johnson Controls may show up on every job site. But you do want to go to all these sites, either yourself or you want to go and set up at least the automated services, because, like I said, some companies will only go to one. They'll just go to Indeed, or they'll just go to Dice, or they'll just go to Career Builder. And you don't want to miss out on those, because that might be your perfect job. All right. Sorry, it looked like that froze there, but I guess not. We're okay. Okay. Don't like that. Let's see, Amy. I tell people that it's red flag if you are not on LinkedIn, or if you don't have a photo. It is expected these days. Okay, I wasn't going to go here yet. That's one of the problems I have with LinkedIn. I think it's a really bad idea to be putting your photo out there. People are people. And while there's all kinds of laws, at least in this country, that you're not supposed to discriminate by sex or religion or age, all that. The reality is, as soon as you show somebody your photograph, they've made decisions about you. They've made decisions about who you are, what you do, how smart you are, just based on the way you look. It's wrong. It is completely inaccurate, but it's what happens. That's people. So that's one of the problems I have with LinkedIn, because that's not only is it a bad deal for us who are looking for jobs, it's a bad deal for the people who are hiring, because they're blowing off people that might be the perfect employee based on a personal whim. Also, it's discriminatory, and that gets them into a very dangerous area very quickly. So I have a big problem with that. I don't have my photo on LinkedIn. I will never put my photo on LinkedIn. If somebody won't hire me because I don't have a photo on LinkedIn, I don't want to work for them anyway. because they've already told me a lot about them too. So yeah, I have a huge problem with that. It's not right. This is skipping ahead. We're gonna go over this in more detail in other weeks, but this is also why I say you never ever put your photo on your resume. Ever. Don't do it. Don't put your graduation date. Don't do it. Don't put your hobbies. Don't give them any reason to not bring you in for the conversation. Because once you're there in front of them, yes, of course, they're going to see who you are and all that kind of stuff, but you're also going to get the chance to sell them and prove to them how valuable you are and how strong your skill set is. But you have to get in the door to do that. So it's absolutely crucial that you don't do anything. You don't give them any reasons to say no. You want your resume to be the thing that says, yes, we have to bring this person in and talk to them. Let's see. You were correct about photos, but reality is recruiters will always run. Yeah, you know what? Those are the recruiters I don't want to deal with. There's a lot of bad recruiters out there. Don't kid yourself. And again, any recruiter that insists on a photo, I don't want to deal with because they clearly don't know their business. They're clearly just working through some checklist, and they're probably, to be honest, a lower level recruiter, because the higher end ones would never do that. They would never push. While we're on the topic, a lot of the lower end recruiters will push you. You absolutely have to tell me how much money you're making. No, I don't. The only thing that matters is how much money I'm going to get for my next job. How much am I worth? How much is this position worth? What is the fair market value for my skill set in this industry? That's what matters. So every time that question comes up, I just skate right over the top of it and say, well, what I'm looking for this type of work is this amount or this range. I usually give them a range. But you do not have to give them your photo. You do not have to give them your social media accounts. They have no business in your social media accounts. And they certainly don't have to know about how much you're making now, because that's not, they're like, well, that's how we know what we're going to pay you in this job. No, you're going to pay me based on my skills and my experience and what I'm worth to you in this market. Sorry, that's a bit of a rant, but I have seen so many people get basically ripped off. And you have to keep in mind, recruiters are not your friend. Recruiters are not working for you. You're not paying them, and you shouldn't pay them, by the way. It's all right. So, Amy, that's exactly where I was going. 95% of the recruiters don't care about the candidates, about the numbers. Not only that, they absolutely don't care about the candidates, but they also don't know what the heck you do for a living, and they don't care. You're a used car to them. They're just looking to move product off the lot, and so they can get new product on the lot. So it is absolutely about the numbers. See, Amy, you're feeding my rants. Hang on, I gotta take a drink. Yeah, no, there's a lot of bad ones out there. Okay, so while we're talking about bad recruiters, so the other thing that you need to be careful of, I always send my resume out as a PDF. Why? Because most of them don't know how to edit a PDF. I mean, it's not impossible, but most of them don't know how to do it. And that is critical. I've had at least 5 times in my career, somebody insisted they have to have a Word document, and I sent it, and then twice, unfortunately only twice, I got hooked up with an employer. I went in for the interview. They start talking to me, and I go, hang on, I don't think you're looking at my resume. And they're like, yeah, I am. Your name is, what? And I'm like, yeah. So, but that's not what I do. That's not my resume. Now, I always bring, and you should always bring extra copies of your resume. Twice in my career, I have had bad recruiters redo my resume, completely lying about things, saying that I've done things that I have never done, that I have no intention of doing, and presenting them that way. One time, I actually had a recruiter submit me for a job without ever talking to me. And it just so happens I was actually talking to another recruiter about this job, which turned into a whole thing too. So you have to be really careful. You're the only one out there looking out for you. So you've got to be super careful. Trust your instincts. If somebody's pushing you to do things that don't feel right, say thank you very much, but I don't think we're a good fit. I'm going to move on. It's hard for younger folks to learn how to push back. Amy, over on YouTube. Yeah, I know. For some people that is an age thing. I've always been this way, which I think is just a godsend, because evidently from birth, I've been this way. I will not be pushed around. I will not do things that I know are wrong. And I will not let people push me around. But yes, unfortunately, a lot of people are not comfortable. So they can remove personal. You know what, Amy? Okay, so Amy's saying over on YouTube, in our industry, recruiters request words and they can remove personal header and add their contact info instead. That's fine. You know what? Then if I ask them if that's what they want to do, and I say, give me the information and I'll put it in and I'll send you the PDF. Or I'll say, okay, fine, I'll send you a PDF that has the space at the top for you to do that. They don't have to be mucking around in your resume. You know what? You don't want them to, because they're the ones, 9 times out of 10, who are entering in because they can't help themselves. Oh, they're going to fix something. Okay, the ones who've taken out the Oxford comma, I never worked with them again. I've had ones enter typos into my resume. I work very hard on my resume. Somebody messes with that, we have a big problem. So yes, okay, whatever reason they give you for having to have a Word document, find out what that reason is, and then you do it, and you send them the PDF in the way that they need it. It may be a little extra work for you, but it also is protecting your resume, and that's crucial. All right, sorry, let me get back on track here. Okay, so, I don't even know if I can bring up, okay, I don't think I can bring up picture-in-picture today. That's okay. All right, so that was Indeed. So now there are ones that are also more targeted. So something like Dice, while they do have, general ads, Dice is particularly strong for those of us on the IT side of things. This is 9 times out of 10 when I find a new job, it comes through Dice. So that's another one to go and take a look at, if you're in that IT side of things. Another one that's kind of new is ZipRecruiter. And again, this is another aggregate service, but they do things a little bit differently in that they have an algorithm that's watching, because what it does is it recommends jobs for you. And then, let me switch back. They recommend jobs for you, and then you can go in and you can, decline them or save them or apply to them. And sometimes you can do a one-step apply. So basically, if you upload your resume, which we'll talk about with the others in a minute, you can just do a one-click apply, and it just takes the resume and sends it to them. Other times, it's taking you to the site where you have to go through the application process. But it's another good one to take a look at. Let me bring you back. Sorry, I have to get my system rebuilt here. I shouldn't have done this weekend. So that's another one to look at. Okay. I don't know, this has not gotten as much press as I thought it would, but Google actually now is also doing jobs. So if you just do a search for Google Job Search, it'll bring you into this. And again, it's another job search thing, but again, you can also create a profile, you can have it send you jobs, and I'm finding that it tends to get the results faster than things like Indeed and those kind of places. So it's another one to look at. Also, of course, being Google, it does a really good job of giving you other ways to go in and filter. Now, we've talked a lot about all these different services where you can go and get your resume. Now, the other thing that a lot of people miss with these, they go and they use them to do the search, and maybe they set up and they get the emails give to them every day with the updated ones. Don't forget to put your resume out there too. Some of the places are not interested in posting the ad and having to slog through 10,000 resumes, of which 5 maybe actually fit the job posting. So some of them just pay these services to go in and get access to their database of resumes that have been submitted. So that's the other side. With all of these, you can go into them, and there's some place as you're setting up your account where you can choose to put your your resume up. Now, you do want to be a little careful here. Don't post a resume that has your full address, maybe just the town and the state. If you're going to put a phone number, I know everybody likes to put their mobile phone number, but you really want your mobile phone exploding all day at work while you're looking for a job? That's probably not great. Maybe set yourself up with a Google number so that you can just send them all there, or your home number, and you can deal with them when you get home. So the other thing I want to talk about is when you're creating these accounts or you're posting your resume, make sure that your email address is professional. I've been on both sides of the fence here. So, I've looked for jobs, but I've also been a part of the hiring process. And I can't tell you how many times we've gotten resumes from people with, email addresses of, I can't go to work, I'm drunk.com, at google.com, or lazybum at yahoo.com. There's nothing wrong with having a gmail.com or yahoo.com, but just make sure that what comes before the @ sign is professional. And if you don't have one already, they're free. Go build a free one. Don't give anybody a reason to say no. Okay. Sorry, my brain just kind of dumped there. Okay, so we talked about that. Oh, okay, so we've talked about all the different services. Let's talk about now the other alternative. Come on. Okay. So if you have an idea of who you want to work for, or who you think you want to work for, or you're just looking to get information, again, keeping in mind that not all the companies will pay to post on the different services, you should also look at the different companies that are in your area. So for example, you can search for, IBM careers and go in, and you can do a full search of, basic jobs, experience jobs. Here, we'll go into experience. And this is particularly useful not only if, you're looking to get things that maybe aren't being posted publicly, but also if you're looking to relocate. These are great because they'll have, a big company like this, you'll be able to narrow it down by the areas that you might want to go and work in, or the country that you want to go and work in. So always keep in mind that you don't just want to use the job portals or the job boards. You also want to go and pick out the different companies that you're interested in. So this is IBM, Colgate, any company basically, from small companies to big companies, are likely to have some sort of a career page or work with us page or what have you. And same goes for, in the medical field. This is a very specialized area, and sometimes they don't show up on things like Dice or Indeed or whatever. So again, you can come in and here's the search jobs, and you can go in and you can start searching your heart out here. And again, they'll let you create a profile, and if you want to upload your resume, that's so they'll have it. They'll always say, they'll get in touch with you, but it really is on you to make sure that you're staying up on it, you're staying in contact, you're checking the site, once a week, once a month, depending on your level of job search, so that you're staying on top of all the things that are out there that they might have. And particularly when you're working with a big company, like if you're looking at somebody like IBM or Google or Microsoft or anything like that, it's okay to submit to different jobs because these companies get to be so big, it's almost like they become a bunch of small companies again under an umbrella. So if you want to go work for HP, don't hold yourself back. I wouldn't, I wouldn't apply for 50 jobs at one location, but if you want to do, a job with HP proper, with HP Financial, with different arms of the company, that's okay. Because they're not going to penalize you because you've applied to different ones, because they all kind of operate as little satellite companies that are underneath the bigger umbrella. So something else to keep in mind. Let's see. Amy, I tell people to replace their Hotmail account with Gmail. It's another trigger for discrimination. Yeah, I have to admit that in the last round of hiring I was involved in, we got a couple of Hotmail and a couple of AOLs, and we did chuckle a little. I think it kind of depends on the industry somebody's in. I think if it's IT, you probably want to go with a more recent one. It looks a little funny for somebody who claims to be up to date on IT to be using an AOL or a Hotmail account. If you're in a different industry, I don't know if it matters as much. But yeah, it is something to consider. And since it doesn't cost anything, it's not a problem to do as long as you remember to go and check it. You do have to stay on top of it because you don't want to miss a window. But yeah, absolutely. Hotmail, I guess they're still out there. I haven't seen a Hotmail email address in quite a while. Okay, let's see here. I've been jumping around here. Okay, so I kind of touched on it, but let me just go back over it again. So it's important that you try to make these tools work for you. So again, if you're going to something like an Indeed, you would probably want to go and, so here's, upload your resume. And you can, certainly do that just to give yourself another door. So you can upload your resume to all of these, whether it's Indeed or Dice or, a corporate site. All of them will let you do that. Just make sure that if you do that, you want to keep a log of it, because if you update your resume in a couple months, you want to remember where you posted your resume so that you can go and update it. You don't want old resumes floating around out there. So make sure that you create yourself a little log, whether you go to Google Docs and create a little spreadsheet, or if you like to do it on paper, whatever works for you. But make sure you don't make life harder on yourself in the future. Make sure that you're always going to be able to go and either remove your resume from sites that maybe didn't work for you, or update them when you're updating your resume. The other thing to do is to go ahead and, create the email thing. Now, usually for a lot of these, you have to create an account to do that. So you have to come in, you have to, put in your email address and your password. And then once you get into the account, you can, see, I'm showing you this because I'm so used to having the pip. Hang on, let me go back. So you see here, this is where the upload is for the for Indeed. So you can click here, you can upload it, or you can build it manually. It's always better to upload it because you do want to be consistent in case people are seeing your resume across different sites. The other thing is, like if you're doing searches like this and you're getting good results, then you probably want to build yourself a little email alert. And usually to do that, you have to go and create an account. So you usually have to go to sign in and, set up your account however you like. And then it usually lets you save X number of searches so that they'll just automatically email you out. Now again, like I mentioned earlier, you won't necessarily get them quickly. There will be a time lag between when the job is posted, when it gets picked up by the service, and when it actually will show up in your mailbox, and then whenever you get around to looking at your email. But at least that way you're staying on top of it. The other thing to keep in track, and a lot of people have forgotten about this. Actually, I wonder if I can bring it up real quick. Hang on a sec. RSS feeds were really hot for a while, but people have kind of forgotten about them. But they are excellent when it comes to job search. Hang on one sec. I'm just looking for. Okay. Look, make sure I've got nothing here that's terribly. Okay. So this is Feedly, which is something that you can use in Chrome. But so if you're going to a site, like if you're going to IBM or Google or Microsoft or even Indeed and Dice and those kind of ones, you can very often get the automated results as an RSS feed, which you can then put into an RSS feed reader, and you can get all of the updates then. And this is another great way to automate the search to make it a little easier on you, because there's a lot to do. Searching for a job is a full-time job. So this is just another handy way to make it easy on you to find, to get that updated information. Also, I find for me, and this may just be the way my brain works, I see here I go again. I didn't flip it. I am so sorry. I promise by next week I'll get my system rebuilt. Let me try this again. So this is the RSS feeds. This is Feedly. And as you see, so you get once you identify where you do your search, there's usually an option to get it as an RSS feed, and then you can very quickly get these updates as they come through. And it's a little faster, I think, than emails, but also I find for my brain, see, like here, right away I noticed that there was like duplication. Let's see if I can make that come up again. Maybe not. Okay, so this is one search I did, and this is another search I did, but these three are exactly the same job. Oh, I'm catching it on a refresh. But for me, it's easier to find it, to look for the patterns that way. Also, I find that this is really handy to zip through and immediately either include or exclude things based on the location. So it's just, again, it's about finding the patterns that work best for you, just like anything else in life. But these are all options for you out there. There's lots of ways, but there's also lots of data, so you've got to make it work for you. Okay. In light of the fact that I'm losing my voice, I think we're going to end this one here. Let me just go through my notes. I want to make sure I got all this. Okay. All right, so, oops, I'm sorry, sorry, you Periscope people, I'm so sorry, I got hung up again. Let me see if I can zip back to it. I'm sorry, Periscope. Best thing I can do is to tell you to, if you've got any questions, and we didn't see them, to go ahead and reach out. Really, is this not working now? That's not working either. Okay. Yeah. I made my system unhappy. I'm trying to put a new hard drive in, and it kind of blew up a little bit on me. All right, well, here, how about this? Really? Nothing's going to work? Okay, hey, that one, no, that's not it either. Okay, well, take my word for it. If you need to get in touch, if you have a question that I didn't answer, if I didn't see it come up, particularly poor folks on Periscope, my apologies. You can go and catch us on Twitter. We're the BA Zone, no spaces, on Twitter. Or you can go to thebazone.com, and we have a contact form there, and you can submit any questions, comments, what have you there. We'll be happy to cover those in future sessions. Like I said, we're going to spend this month on job search, resumes and all that kind of good stuff, because it's the beginning of the year, and a lot of people are going to start to look. So, let's see. I'm just going to do one last check-in here. And if we're all good, I think I'm going to wrap this up so that maybe I can leave here with a little bit of a voice. Alrighty, I think we're good then. Excellent. Okay. Oh, Michael Tang, thank you so much. I'm glad you like this. I'm glad you find it helpful. Okay, we will be back, like I said, next week. We will probably focus in more on resumes. That's the other piece. So let me just put some context around this. So the reason I didn't start with most people would want to start with resumes. The reason I didn't is because in order for you to know how to best build your resume, which we will talk about next week, you really want to go and do a little searching around first for the type of jobs that you think you're going to be interested in, because you want to make sure that your resume speaks to the job postings that are out there. So that's why I recommend doing it this way. First, you go out, do your general search, get a general feel for what's out there, what seems to be a good fit for you, what seems to be a good match, and then you save those, even if you don't, we're not ready to apply yet. Maybe you haven't started your resume yet, but I would still save those, either print them out or save them in your account, so that when you go back and you're building your resume, you can go back and look at those and see, oh, okay, they're referencing this. Let me make sure I refer to it that way. Because there's, in any industry, there's always a couple different ways to refer to things, but you want to make sure that you're doing the closest match you can to the wording that's in the resume, in the job postings that they've got there. Because the reality is, the harsh reality of life, there's a lot of that in this. The harsh reality of life is when you do submit your resumes, like I was talking about, if you upload it to the aggregator, if you upload it to an employer, the first person to see your resume is not going to be a person. It's going to be some sort of software that's going to go through looking for keywords and is going to rate your resume based on those matches. Now, that doesn't mean that a human won't necessarily look at it, but you're already one behind if you don't at least have some of those keywords in there. So that's why we start here. Get an idea what kind of job you're looking for, get an idea for how people refer to the skill sets that they're looking for to fill those jobs, and then next week we'll start to talk about how you build your resume, making sure that you're getting those in there, but still being honest, because you certainly don't want to lie about your skills or your abilities. Okay, one more check here. I think we're good to go. Alrighty, great. Thanks so much. Again, as I said, we are available for you. My name is Kathleen Sennett. If you go to thebazone.com, there's a comment form there. You can also reach us on Twitter, and that is the BA Zone over on Twitter. And we will be happy to answer any questions or address them next week when we meet. I hope everybody is staying warm if you're in an area like mine when it's freezing. And if you are someplace warm and sunny, please know that I'm very jealous right now. All right, folks, have a good one. Hopefully I'll have more of a voice next week. Take it easy. Bye-bye.